Late September 1998. This is the Jang Madang, which means a type of black market in a central North Korean city. What catches your eyes first at the Jang Madang is bowls of corn noodles with powdered red pepper sprinkled on the top. In order to make up for the scarce food rations, North Korean residents gather at the Jang Madang to get something to eat. Family members are scattered in search of food, and lost children live on leftover food at the Jang Madang. These boys are called gochebi. It is what children who roam about the street in search of food during the food crisis that hit North Korea are called. These little swallows flock to the Jang Madang because that's the only place they can ease their hunger. A child is snooping around a food vending stall, but no one cares about a hungry child. Then there is another kid with something to eat. This kid is immersed in sucking something in his hand. In his hand is a fish bone with no meat left to eat. There is a dumping site behind the food vending stall, but the site is almost empty. That's because people have already taken out whatever seemed useful or edible. Suddenly, one kid quickens his step. The boy saw something stuck on the legs of a man eating noodles. He quickly snatches it. The child seems to have a lifeless look on his face. He quickly finishes his strips of noodles. Food trade is illegal in North Korea. Nevertheless, there are vending stands in markets, and prices are determined by supply and demand. One bowl of rice sells at 15 North Korean won, a dish of pork at 30 won, and bean curd soup, the least expensive dish, at 10 won. A meal of rice and side dishes costs 55 won. It amounts to as much as 2/3 of a North Korean worker's wage. Her makeup shows that the woman who owns the stall is relatively well off. Although North Korea is suffering from a dire food shortage, you can eat as much as you wish if you have the money. But those who cannot start a business are reduced to mere food refugees.
몇 살이야? 10살이야?
A barefoot child. His hair has lost its color due to malnutrition, and his eyes have lost their focus. Most of the little swallows wander about the marketplace without any shoes. A little girl is sitting at a ditch near the marketplace. She is trying to scoop up something from the ditch with a plastic bag. The girl looks into the gutter for a long while in an effort to drink from the ditch or to find food waste. Her efforts seem to have failed because she stands up with a disappointed look on her face.
야, 너 집에 없니? 야, 어? 집에 없니? 어? 대답하자. 말 못하니 너? 어? 어?
It seems that she doesn't even have the strength to answer the questions. Her swollen face and feet tell us that she is suffering from malnutrition.
몇 몇 살이라고? 10살? 어? 아, 이물 못 먹는다니. 야, 그. 되지라.
물안 나와. 나는 물안 나와. 빨리 탈 돼.
Suddenly, rain starts to fall. A Gochebi boy takes shelter from the rain under the roof along with other people.
야. 야, 너 여기 오라. 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 오라, 빨리. 여기 오라는데.
Called by a stranger, the child wears a curious look and does not make a move.
여기 앉아라. 어?
The boy barely answers the questions about his family.
야.
야, 부모 없단 말이네.
야.
He had a family of 6, his parents and 3 brothers. But now, he doesn't know their whereabouts.
들어오나. 들어오나, 비 맞는다.
His bare feet are swollen. His hands are hurt here and there with cuts and scratches.
버려도 쉽게 대신이 신발 파는 데가 있어야지.
He lost much of his hair due to infection. After a long while, he finally tells us about how his family fell apart. His father disappeared ever since he went out to look for food. His mother and the youngest brother both died of starvation, and the remaining 3 kids, his elder brother, himself, and his youngest brother, all have gone their separate ways.
오늘도 신발 파는 데 가서 신발 싸고 어디 갔어? 어디 갔다가?
아직 아이 나와. 경제관이다. 형도 이렇게 하고 다녀. 야.
And he adds that his big brother is now detained at the 927 refugee camp.
너 저기 거기 갔대? 저 김여관이 갔대?
한 숟갈, 2숟갈씩?
Detention houses like the 927 refugee camp feed the Gochebi kids only 1 or 2 spoons of food a day.
나하고 갔다고. 죽은 곳도 있니? 나오겠다고 거기서 떨어져서. 눈이 못 나가게 하니? 가다나?
Gochebi kids will do anything they can to escape the detention house. They even risk their lives by jumping off the building. They will do anything to escape starvation. This Gochebi boy was sobbing while telling us the story of his scattered family. A variety of goods are traded at the marketplace. Illegally smuggled watches are valuable items in North Korea. Soldiers frequent this marketplace. This is one of the buildings of the city's 927 refugee camp. The 927 refugee camp is a temporary detention house for the Gochebi, set up by the order of Kim Jong-il on September 27, 1997.
여기란 말이야. 그러니까 저기 아들 자가 연대가.
When the rain stopped the next day, we went to the camp again. There, we could see the faces of the Gochebi kids at the windows. This camp-run building used to be a state-run inn. Following Kim Jong-il's order, 3 to 4 detention houses were set up in every big city and more than 1 in a small city. The first floor of the building is occupied by shops and elderly citizens. The second floor by offices and guards. And the so-called gochebi, which means little swallows, are detained on the third and fourth floors. Those with a high possibility of escaping are placed on the upper floor. It is alleged that the North Korean authorities place a growing number of gochebi children in houses and return them home after a certain period in order to prevent them from causing social problems. She is sound asleep, using her jacket as a blanket and her bag as a pillow. Homeless people are roaming around the city as well. They all look scared by the presence of a stranger. It was late September of last year at a city in central North Korea. A month later, mid-October, another city in central North Korea. At the entrance of the marketplace, a little swallow child picks something up from the muddy ground and puts it into his mouth. Two or 3 years ago, there were few bicycles in North Korea, but those who made a fortune at the marketplace began to buy cheap bicycles from Japan and rode them as if they were driving a car. Most of the jeeps and trucks seen on the street are also Japanese made. Most have been smuggled into the country, they say. These women are selling smuggled cigarettes. At the market, Chinese cigarettes sell at 15 won. Meanwhile, Japanese tobacco is priced as high as 100 won, which is equivalent to 1.5 months' wage of a North Korean worker. Gochebi kids in their late teens. They walk around in groups. Children under the age of 10 look for leftover food on their own. These teenagers, however, act in an organized manner. Usually, they snoop around food vending stalls. Sometimes they take a chance by making a mess of the stalls to grab something and run away. They can do so because they are physically stronger than the smaller kids and because they act in groups. Scattered around the stand, the teenagers suddenly approach the vendor. Their movement makes the crowd nervous. After a while, the vendor throws something at them and tells them to go away. The kids take it and leave the place. This example illustrates North Korea's dire situation. No one takes care of these children at a time when even the families are falling apart. It is the little gochebi boy we met at the market entrance.
너 신발도 없니? 너 신발 없냐? 어? 야. 집 없니 너? 집 어디야? 집 어디야? 언니? 신성동? 신성동에서 여기까지 내려와? 어? 자, 너 동생이야? 그 아버지 어디 다니니? 응? 무시고? 일 아이 다니니? 엄마는 어디가? 엄마 주고?
Mom is dead. The boy says these words all too casually. There is no sadness, no sorrow, no emotion on this little face of his. His father has been missing since he went out in search of food, and his mother is dead. Now, the little brother and sister are wandering about the marketplace. Since as early as the 1950s, Pyongyang has partially allowed farmers to sell their vegetables at markets. Although it is still a socialist state, North Korea gave a green light to small-scale farming by individuals despite its ban on private ownership of land. A cart full of radishes. Eggplants piled up on one corner of the stand draws attention. Most of the vegetables sold at the market were cultivated on private farms. Vegetables are sold at relatively cheap prices. Farmers are trying to survive hunger by selling vegetables they have raised. Loaded with passengers, this truck plays the role of the bus. The truck owner is running the bus business in an effort to raise money for its operation. Private commercial activities are strictly forbidden by law, but they are on a steady rise. There is a couch. It is something unexpected here. The owner of the couch is angry because the woman's bicycle left mud on her couch. The two women are fighting. Hand carts are lined up on one corner of the marketplace. Cart puller is a new occupation that emerged with markets. They are self-employed workers, something that is strictly forbidden in a socialist country. On a corner of the market is a piece of furniture with a large mirror. Those that lack specialized skills or capital sell furniture and other household goods. Bike depositories have emerged as a new business. According to North Korean defectors, the number of marketplaces has increased sharply across North Korea for the past several years. Where there is food, there is always a group of gochebi.
야, 집이 어디야? 어? 어? 아이 들린다 이거. 집이 없다고? 이거 어디서 사니? 말 없니 너?
The kids snoop around the stalls just like wild animals. There is a cornbread stand. Around the stall, there are a total of 5 kids. One of the boys is wearing shorts in the middle of October. After a while, a boy standing on the other side of the stall pushes the people and picks up the breadcrumbs. At the marketplace, one can often see dealers cover their goods with a net. They do so in order to protect their goods from the gochebi. Soldiers, too, come to the marketplace to eat noodles or other dishes. Within the North Korean military, there is a special unit in charge of construction and civil engineering works, in addition to the war-fighting troops. Soldiers are also suffering from food shortage because much of the food ration goes to the warfighting units. And because soldiers often crowd the marketplace, the authorities have stationed armed MPs at the site for periodic crackdowns. In North Korea, food trade is illegal, but corn powder is openly traded at the marketplace. It costs 15 won per kilogram, which is equivalent to a quarter of a worker's monthly income. Rice is another banned commodity that is traded openly in the market. It sells at 60 won per kilogram. It is an average monthly wage for a North Korean worker and as much as 750 times the price set by the government. This is a gochebi boy we met in the small alley. He was rather neatly dressed, so at first we did not think he was one of them. The boy picks up corn and grains and puts them in a plastic bag. He must be relatively well placed because other kids would have put them into their mouth at once. Corn noodles are sold at 30 won per kilogram. Demands for corn noodles have soared since the corn trade has increased despite the ban. This is one of the favorite hangouts for the little swallow kids.
야, 뭘 먹냐? 응?
This child is eating strips of noodles that fell on the muddy ground. The second most popular item following food is clothing. All clothes traded here are said to be made in China. The same is true with shoes. North Korea is incapable of producing anything on its own.
이건 어디 신발인가? 응? 중국 신발인가?
Trading industrial goods is also prohibited, but the authorities turn a blind eye to the trade.
이거 학생 하나에 얼마? 2원 50전이요.
The only school supply produced in North Korea is notebooks. The rest comes from China. Some of the names of the foodstuff sound unfamiliar, such as vinegar, made of water-diluted glacial acetic acid. North Korean residents that cannot buy soap use caustic soda as a substitute. Also being traded are powdered red pepper, sesame, wild sesame, and other spices and condiments. In particular, powdered red pepper is the most expensive spice sold at the marketplace. Selling alcoholic drinks at the marketplace is prohibited, but liquor dealers keep their bottles hidden in their bosom and sell them secretly to customers. Electric appliances underline how serious North Korea's economic situation is. One unit of a glow lamp is traded at a price as high as over 1/2 of a worker's monthly wage.
이거 얼마예요? 45원.
Even skilled workers have quit their job and started their own business. North Korea is faced with a severe food shortage and an economic crisis, and everyone is coming out to make some money. It is not just adults that are trying to earn their living. Quite a few children have become dealers at the marketplace. The North Korean government has strictly banned children's commercial activities, branding them as acts that challenge the very foundation of the nation. But it was a futile attempt. These kids are selling used plastic bags.
야, 자, 가리야. 얼마야?
이거 1원인데 내가 시켜드릴게 아씨. 이거 50원짜리도 있어요. 아 형아.
됐다.
Already an experienced salesman, the child calls out a bargain on saccharin.
어떻게 하냐?
어느 거? 10원짜리, 12원짜리, 15원짜리.
요리 10원.
요거 12원짜리. 요거 10원짜리. 요거 15원짜리. 예, 컬러 소스.
책은 얼마야?
3원이죠 이거.
3원.
예. 저 보고서.
이건 우리 게.
More and more children are entering business despite the official ban.
알잖아.
Maybe it is better than becoming little swallows. Around this time of year, there are relatively large supplies of food at the marketplace. But no one seems to think of the hungry children. After snooping around for a while, a little swallow girl starts to pick up and eat something from the dusty ground. Scolded by the cold-hearted vendor, the girl walks away, but her eyes are still fixed on the ground.
없니? 응? 응? 집이 없니? 집이 없니? 어? 아버지 엄마 없니?
Another attention-grabbing sight at the marketplace is lice catching. But no one frowns at the sight. Except for the privileged few that are rationed on a regular basis, the majority of the North Korean people depend on the market for their survival. Some residents raise livestock such as pigs, chickens, and geese in their house to sell at the market. A woman selling chicken and a passerby are arguing over something. Why are they fighting? The reason is simple. The dealer noticed the passerby woman staring at her and counting the day's income, so she yelled at her to go away. That's how the fight started.
한 장에 얼마요? 7원.
North Korea is confronting an energy shortage in addition to a food crisis and economic chaos. Some people make briquettes by mixing soil with coal they hoard secretly from the coal mine. But because of the poor quality of the briquettes, they have difficulty keeping the fire burning.
나무 한 단에 얼마요? 10원.
And that is precisely why firewood is more expensive than coal briquettes.
이 나무 파는, 이 나무 파는, 나무 니가 파는가?
The child seems frightened because he was caught while selling firewood. He must be thinking that we are cracking down on children's commercial activities. In the past, markets were limited to a small area, but they have expanded with an increase in the number of visitors. This marketplace is no exception. It is expanding into the nearby residential area. With the expansion in size, the Jang Madang, or the black market, has seen an increase in the number of little swallow children as well. Malnutrition has made his belly abnormally big. As if he were a bird, he goes around pecking crumbs on the ground. It is near an eatery alley. Here, we meet a little boy staggering to the point of fainting. He looked too exhausted to answer the question or even stand straight. We wonder if this boy is still alive. Two soldiers, still boyish looking, are eating bean curd soup at a stand right by the dumping site. Their faces are so skinny. They do not look like soldiers at all. Right beside the men, another kid stands waiting by the tent, waiting to see if the men leave or spill anything. The ground has turned all muddy. A little swallow child is looking very hard for some food. Finally, the boy finds something. How would this boy live if there were no more leftover food? Food refugees wander about the country in search of food like the Gochebi do. When they cannot get any more food in North Korea, they decide to cross the border. But Pyongyang has beefed up their guard along the border as the number of defectors has increased. In many cases, the refugees get killed. The Tuman River has become a synonym for the border between life and death. Two men are approaching from the North Korean side. Soon, they tie something with a rope and drag it back to North Korea. It is the dead body of a North Korean defector who died while crossing the river. There is a boy on the North Korean side of the Tuman River. After a while, he successfully crosses the river. He is a little Gochebi boy.
완전히 났었어. 아직 못 나왔어.
네. 그 오음자리야?
네.
너 927 있을 때 몰랐어?
네.
더 올려봐. 거기 눌려봐. 거기가 부러진 것 같아?
네.
어떻게 기차에서 떨어져가지고?
핵이 온다 이거지.
He says that he has escaped from the 927 refugee camp. His rib has been broken.
거기는 어떻게 해서 그렇게 됐니?
차에서 떨어.
기차 탔는데 안전원들이
기차에서 떨어졌단 말이야.
아, 안전이 쳤단 말이야. 이제는 그렇게 해서.
Here is another little boy who escaped North Korea only a few hours ago. He had one eye severely injured after tumbling down a cliff.
떨어져서 그 공기를 탁. 그래 너 안쪽에 들어와서 뭘 하자고? 너도 일하자고? 네. 일해서 돈 벌자고? 네. 너 무슨 일을 할 수 있어? 이제 14살인 게.
다 하겠습니다. 나 일할 데 없어.
He told us that he ran away to China because he could not endure hunger anymore. He wants to make some
너
money.
불러리 때문에 다른 데 다친 데는 없어? 너 어디로 건너왔어? 위원 쪽으로? 네, 나 위원하고.
And the exodus of North Korean children into China continues.
몇 살이라고?
15살.
15살. 니도 배 고파서 왔나?
배고프구나. 집에 사람도 없지 않으니까. 갈 데 없어서 왔어.
아버지는?
아버지는 해령이라는데 거기 갔다는데
어머니는?
어머니는 저기 항해도 저기 갔다.
그것도 가서 잘 살아라 그래서 그거냐?
The mother of a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. She crossed the border with her 2 children.
그래 그나 새가 같이 그나 새가 이름 정도며 다 같이 장사 둘이서 할 수 있어 한 5천 원이 뭐.
She said she decided to sell her children in China because there's no way she could feed them in North Korea. So the children hide on the mountain, waiting for someone to come and take care of them. The lack of food has completely destroyed this family. These little Gochebi boys have just crossed the border a few days ago. They empty several bowls of rice in one sitting.
여기서 무슨 강남 가지고 줄 것 같으면 너희 가지고 건너갈 수 있냐? 응? 어떻게 가지고 건너가? 아니 저쪽에서 경비대들이 그거 빼뜨리지 않냐?
그렇습니다. 이런 먹겠어. 중국 사람 넘어가서 먹을 거 주겠다서 넘어가다가 어느 길가 무섭고 다시 건너가지 말라고 생각하고.
Surprisingly, the boys said that they wish to go back to North Korea with some food. Guards turn a blind eye when it comes to little children, they say. So the next day, the kids return to North Korea with some corn powder. Now, even small children cross the border in search of food. Winter has arrived in the communist state. This is a public cemetery near the Duman River, where people come to bury their loved ones. No one knows how many of the little swallow children we met at the markets have died in the cold winter of the northern state, and no one knows how many will be able to survive the winter to see the spring. This winter will surely be a merciless time for the North Korean children.